I'm not able to sell it, I lose a lot of money. So every day they have to do the same decisions and they have the same risk to make a wrong decision. So to see it even a little bit more sharper is you need to understand how the supply chain is working. So you have your publisher, he talks to a author, he's reading some samples of his new book and he said, okay, I like it, let's do it. He's talking to his sales guys, they say, okay, we can roughly sell 5,000 books. He's placing the order to our company, we are printing them, producing them, shipping them out to the distribution center, sending in the invoice, for us it's done, but then it starts. Because at the end you have the bookstore, and the bookstore is limited in storage spaces. That means they are limited in titles what they can put into their bookstore, and they have the target to attract customers into the bookstore to sell the books. So in their world, if a book is not selling in the first week very well, they are shipping back all the books to the distribution center, and that's the so-called returns. And if you look then in the distribution center, there are so many percentage of returns there which are unsold and sooner or later will be destroyed. So that's a huge loss and risk for a publishing house. And exactly there is where we need to target on and what we need to do. So from this perspective, we need to understand what role we are playing today in the supply chain. We are a print supplier, so we are just doing things what we are asking for. But then we also need to imagine what role we will play in future in this supply chain if we change our way how we're doing things. So we will be a very important tool for the publishing business in their digitalization world, because we will be the tool to allow new business models for their business. And we are all connected to each other. If the bookstore is not selling books, the publisher is not ordering books, and we're not producing books. So we need to see that really as one chain working each other hand by hand. So digitalization will transform us to a service supplier for the publishing business instead of a print supplier. So our role is totally different than before. But we also need to understand that we can't push the standardization of products to the publishing houses. My example is always like my little son. If I'm telling my little son, you're not allowed to touch my Xbox, the first thing what he's doing is touching my Xbox. If I'm telling him, you can touch that, but if something happens, I'm unhappy, I'm unsatisfied, and maybe I'm angry also at the end, then it has consequences. And it's the same when we're doing short-run productions. If I try to force somebody to standardize certain things, then they will block. But if I say you have the opportunity, you can do that, but there are some consequences out of it, it's a delivery time, it's a costs, then they maybe start to rethink and say, okay, could we standardize something? But then it's driven by the publisher and not for us as a print supplier. So it's a different approach. So that's very important that standardization, if it's necessary, it should be pushed by the publishing houses and not by the print suppliers. You need to be aware, if you go in this digitalization world, it means a lot of changes. So you really need to be open for change management in your company. So that it has to be really also supported by the management, because you really start to turn around your company from the inside to the outside. When you establish something and you say, okay, that's our path where we want to go, in your task force you need a group which is allowed to think outside of the box. Be not wind up in old structures, be not wind up in our industry. They have to have a bright view what is in other industries, how we can consume something that for our business. Standardization, it's an important topic, but not in products. Standardization within the language. Where us face most of the problems these days is that if you talk to a printer who describes you a book, it's totally different than the finishing guy who's describing the book. And if you talk then to a publisher, he also totally described the book totally different in the wordings of the components within a book. So this is a really complicated part to bring in there a standard, because it's always about sending information, receiving information, doing something out of these informations. Standardization of interfaces. If you build up such a system, it's really important that you are not trying to lock it up with proprietary interfaces. It should be open interfaces, because that only allows you to integrate other things and allows you also to integrate customers. But if you think, okay, I want to protect this idea and I make proprietary interfaces, then you're all by yourself. So when you design something like that, try to do that on standard solutions, standard interfaces. It's more scalable and it's much easier to maintain than also in long term. The focus must be on simplicity. That means you need to simplify, and ask questions. Because when I was taking over this project, and you see a lot of things why certain things are not possible, instead of looking at how it could be possible. And you see lots of things which you can make way easier than it was done before. There's one rule, 100 out of 80. That means you will be never able to automate 100% of your production. The focus should be 80% of your bread and butter products should be 100% automated. So you will never achieve 100% automation over everything. So there will be always a gray zone of 20% more or less, which goes outside of this automation flow and is done like the old days. Semantics. This is exactly the point. Sender and receiver information has to be described in a way that the receiving part can work with these informations. That is when you receive metadata from a publishing house, you should stream them one by one into your system and do things out of it without any interruptions. That's why it's really important that you describe semantically right all information what you need to make a product. Also the processes, also the machines, what needs to be done, it has to be really described in detail, semantically right. Because you need to understand if this is the book dimensions, that book dimensions needs to be also understood from the machine, that it can take the information, can do something out of it. Instead of you have an operator who's doing the measurements again for this product. Process. You need to start to questioning every process how you are doing it today. Questioning everything. And think about how you can do it maybe a little bit better. You should not get trapped back in old habits and old structures. Because what I learned there, you always find pain points within a company for certain products which are not possible, and other things which are asking you, you really need that in our system. But the first question what I always ask now is, what is the total percentage of our total volume of production, this special case? And to be frank, everything what is below 20% I'm not even considering, because it's not possible. Stop wasting time in discussing why something is not possible. As this is a really important topic that if just don't waste the time with that, because there will be never an answer. Just look how you can work through there, or it's one of the products which goes 20% in the old way. Establish within your company a process thinking on a broader view. It's really important that many, if you look in your project teams, and many just focus on one little topic, and then you have vendors which say, okay, for this topic we have an idea, and this idea means, okay, we can put some colors in there, and then the operator is allowed to change the sequence to get more efficient. In one way it's a good idea, but you always have to have the broader view to see what happens if somebody is doing there, what is the collateral damage afterwards. Because if I do it, for example, for book block preparation, but I have produced in sequence cases, then the sequence is not matching anymore. Who's taking care about that they are collecting the cases again in a different way? So that's why it's really important that somebody always have a view over it and say, okay, it's an idea, but there's this collateral damage and there's this collateral damage. Learn to understand the interactions between processes. That means not only the process in our micro production world, it also means the process within to the publishing houses or to the bookstores. So also there we really need to describe it, everything semantically right, that we can use this information, streamline them directly in, do something out of it and streamline it out again. So this is a really important topic, that you always have the view of the entire supply chain. What happens? What I need to consider in such a solution. Avoid media breaks in the entire process, and my example for that is the typical Outlook order. So you have your publisher, he has an ERP system, you have the purchasing guy from there. He's generating a PDF order for that. Then a lady is writing an email, sending it to our lady as a PDF order. She's reading the order. She maybe have questions. She's calling back because the data was not semantically right. And then she's entering it in our system. So that's typical media breaks, but every media break in such a process is a risk. Time-wise, error-wise, and it's not streamlined. It's uncomfortable. So that's why when you design something like that, it really has to be a streamlined process from receiving data until the product goes out and the data goes back to the customer. Set up yourself broadly in this business. And there's neither only a digital strategy, the right one, or an offset strategy. It's a mix of both, because digitalization doesn't mean it's only digital printing. It means it's the production of books. And that can be digital or offset. That doesn't matter. Because with the digitalization, you want to design an integrated process to make, in a short run environment, a very efficient way to produce books that is still attractive for the publisher to purchase them and give them also the reduced risk to make wrong decisions. So it's not a matter of print technology. Digital print is just a tool in this environment to support if you need it or not. One important topic, and that was always the strategy on Livonia Print, you need to search for partners instead of vendors. A vendor always try to convince you and try to sell you a machine. A partner is taking up your vision and try to support you with your vision to accomplish something, because also in your vision phase and your idea, most of the partners also need to do something on their side to help you to achieve that. And then a vendor always try just to sell you something and then take it and just work around it. And that's why we always search for partners and never for vendors. There's one golden rule. If you digitize a shitty process, you only have a shitty digitized process. It's not, it was a word for a very wise man, it was not me. That was the former CEO of Telefonica, and he's 100% right. If you're not willing to change anything in your organization and how you do things, and you can digitize that. Somehow you can integrate that, you can make your former paper formula in an Excel sheet, then it's also more or less digitized, but at the end you don't have any effect out of it. It's just a shitty digitized process, nothing else. Conclusion: there is no magic formula or any magic technology for digitization. The key is really hard work. Describe data semantically right, review all your processes, so the downstream and upstream process change is working and you can use these data. I can't give you any, say, this is the perfect technology and this is the perfect software for that. It's really, it has to come by the company itself. And then try to find partners how you can accomplish certain tasks within this process. But there is not a golden rule, that's because if that would be possible to buy, then we all could be somewhere in Barbados and everything was done by themselves. We don't need to do anything anymore. But it's not like that. But also don't fear digitalization. For me, this is the biggest chance our industry have to get better, more efficient and more profitable at the end. Because we really reconsider what we were done in the past and what we can do in future. So it's a huge chance for us to do something different and be better at the end. So you shouldn't fear that. We believe in it, and luckily also Eric has the same vision as me, and we are really realizing it right now. So we are really in the implementation phase. We designing a lot of things. We also have our headaches, but we are on the right direction. Do you? That's a simple question. It's the future. You see that more and more. On every book fair, when you talk to publishers, everybody thinks about digitalization, their business models. And as soon as you are aware of that, as soon as you start also to think about that, as better it is for the long-term perspective. Thanks for your attention.
So, any questions?
How do you cope with the mindset of workers, people working for the company, the change?
That's a very good question. I'm in a very lucky position, and I'm really grateful for this lucky position that I received a green field. And that would be one advice. If you think about something like that, try to find a part in your company which you can decouple and say, okay, here's your playground, take it as a green field and prove what is possible today. And with this as thing, you are not so connected to the day-to-day workers doing these certain things, because you work in your greenfield environment and you can play around with technologies which achieve certain process steps what a human was doing before, and this allows us then to prove, because in the first starting phase, when you start with digitalization, you just give an you say something that is possible, you maybe give an example, but you don't have a proof. And then it starts with the barriers, but then it's there and but, and then it's here and but. But since we have this greenfield project, and I tell it's possible, I make an example, and I prove it because I could do day-by-day business in this digital environment, fully automatic, then I can go in the older world and convince people much easier, because I can show, guys, it's working. But it's really tough because it's a very sensitive topic, automation. And it's just a human fact. You could kill a lifetime work with such automation projects. And that's why everybody tries to protect. You need to make sure that they are not fearing it, because it just should support. And maybe, since I said, 80% is only possible. 20% will be always the old way. But they could concentrate more on these 20% instead of wasting time for these simple productions. And that's really, you need to balance it out.
Did you take help from a service designer, or did you manage the process yourself?
No, there's no service designer. In such a project, you need to have a vision, you need to work hard, and you need a boss of a company who really is supportive with that, and you need luck. And I was luckily at the right moment, at the right time, find the right partners which are very attractive on our project, and they are really supportive. But we didn't have any consultant or something like that.
I have one.
Sure.
How you are in the process of doing this? How far have you come?
Hardware-wise, I would say we are at 65%, 70%. Software-wise, we are plus 60% already.
Okay. So you're more than half of coming to a situation where 80% of everything you do is 100% automated.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So time is running out, but you will have 30 more minutes.
Yep. You see a little bit more how we designed it.
In 1 hour exactly. And
yep.
What will you tell more about then?
More about the project. There we come on this green field, lucky position that I have a green field, and I tell you what we are doing there, what is the idea behind it, what we did in the regards of investment for hardware, for example, and what is important then also on the software perspective, what we are doing there. Because there were some shocking moments for me where I was very frustrated. And their luck came in my game.
Spännande, eller hur? I was also thinking about what Anna told us before, because you said exactly the same thing actually. You said
I couldn't understand
learn more about your customers, and that's what you did. You learn more about your customers and trying to understand what
really
they need.
And important is we are
them.
collecting tons of semantic data with these systems. And that's also what we need to understand and to use. Our industry doesn't know how to use semantic data. And for me, always the big thing we're looking at is Google, because they are kings of semantic data and how to use them. And we need to learn from the best. And I think and also our industry needs to learn to work with it. And it's not competition. It's not a competition benefit. We can provide much better services if we start to learn to use information in a proper way, on a broader view.
Thank you very much. Now it's
You're
time
welcome.
for coffee. So let's give them a big warm hand again.
Thank you.
And coffee is down the road and to the right. Thank you very much. how that can help raise the value of the printed product, and a lot of other stuff, I guess.
Pretty much anything, yeah. This could be a journey I don't even know where we're going to yet. Yeah.
So welcome, and please.
Thank you very much. Just wait for the last couple. Okay. Okay. So hello everybody, my name is Sean Stanley, and I'm from a company called Motion Cutter. I won't start yet then. I was thinking more, oh baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? Yeah, well, it's the whole... Okay, let's go again. My name's Sean Stanley, and I'm from a company called Motion Cutter. Really through this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is a laser? How does it work? Because I think this is a piece of technology that most people don't kind of understand. And then I'm going to discuss why you need one for your print shop. So, as I've already told you my name, Sean Stanley. I'm from a company called The Media House. It's a German company. So like many of you, we're printers. We looked around, saw that we were getting squeezed on price all the time, and looked to see where we could make more money as printers per sheet of paper. We couldn't do this through print alone. We needed to do it through finishing. We scoured the market. We went to every trade show. We tried to find the piece of equipment that would turn us into gold. There was nothing there that we saw for the investment was worthwhile. So we made our own piece of machinery for our own print shop. And we looked at it. The only way that we were going to really differentiate ourselves from other people was through digital finishing. So we made a laser. The first laser was terrible. We burnt a lot of things, and the second laser was a little bit better. The third laser got even better than that, until we got through to about our fourth version, which we decided was just right for what we needed. We had a speed of sheets going through, and a quality that was really good. We produced lots of work. We did lots of direct mail where we did variable data pieces. So every sheet was cut differently with names cut out of them, or with, if we had the right data, we could put a football club logo on for somebody if they knew if we had that data, and the next one would be Manchester United, the next one would be Chelsea, the next one would be Gothenburg. So every single sheet could be different in this way. People saw what we were doing and they said, can I buy one of your machines? We weren't manufacturers, we were printers. So we stepped back for about a year, we looked at what we had to do, and then we launched onto the market, thinking we might sell one or two. We are now the world's leading sheet-fed laser system, and that's all within about a 3-year period, because we've hit on something which works really, really well. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you about what a laser is. Laser is an acronym for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. That's the science bit out of the way. What I'm going to do now is just basically show you the very, very basics of how a laser is working. So first of all, if you imagine you have a bottle of Coca-Cola, other brands of beverage are also available, and you open it up and you get a ch from the top. Now that's got CO2, carbon dioxide inside it. If you now shake it around and you excite the CO2 inside that bottle of Coke and you go and open it again, what happens? You get a pfft that comes out because you've excited, you've stimulated the other elements inside that. So if we do the same with light and we have, say, CO2 within the bulb, this is a very simplified version of what actually happens. and we excite it with electricity, then what we're doing is we're doing the same as shaking the Coke bottle. So that when the light comes out, it goes poof as it's coming out. Now, what we've also got is we need some of these. Not these in particular, but we need some optics, some magnifying glasses. And then what we're doing with those is we are getting it so that the laser finds exactly the right spot, and then it will go into another magnifying glass to another one to make it smaller and smaller. So you've got this very high energy shooting out of the bulb, being magnified and going to a very fine point. The smaller the point that you can make it, the less energy you actually need to cut through something, because it's so fine, you're needing a lot less energy. Now, all these things are things we found out in those initial stages from coming from a printer to a manufacturer. And as I say, we made a lot of mistakes along the way, but we've now found a way to make it perfect. There's two real types of laser. There's an X and Y laser. So basically, this is like a plotter. It's going on an X and Y axis and moving around. Now, this is very good for 3D pieces, because you can place them in underneath and it can move around like this. But there's also galvo lasers, which are, as you saw that light beam going along before, you have mirror, and the mirror is moving around, reflecting the laser beam all around. And that's the system we chose because you can move the laser the fastest. So the laser is now bouncing around, and our laser, currently the laser beam itself, is deflecting off a mirror at between 6 and 12 meters per second. That we're actually able to move that laser beam around. So very, very fast that this is able to move. The next thing you're going to need is in the laser head itself. If you've got this mirror moving around, when you're coming from the laser head down to the bottom to the cutting area where the paper is, you focus the beam so it's at the perfect point, as we were doing with the magnifying glass a moment ago. It's fine when it's here, but when it moves across to here as it's moving around the sheet, that magnifying glass has to basically move very fast at the same time to keep the perfect spot size anywhere on the sheet. Otherwise, you're going to go out of focus. If you go out of focus, you're going to burn. So these are the things that you need to put together to have a laser system. And these are the things that you need to get perfectly right for paper, because paper, it doesn't forgive. So if you're the slightest bit out of focus, you will get burning. The other things you're going to need extraction, because when you cut through paper, there is smoke. It is basically the same as a burning reaction that's coming up from it. You also can get a lot of paper dust as well. So extraction needs to take that away, and the quicker you can get that away from the paper, the less burning you're going to get. You also need a conveyor, because you don't want to be placing one sheet in, walking away, coming back, pulling that sheet out. You don't want to be touching the paper. So you need a conveyor taking it from a feeder, through under the laser, and out the other side. You obviously need the feeder as well. You need to be able to manage multiple sizes of paper. So currently we go up to the B2 size, or the B2 Plus that they use on the HP 10000. But we are working on wider format sheets at the moment as well. And also the software. The workflow on all machines is always a pain. So what we have is we have worked on the software side of this to be the best that it can possibly be for the print industry. So at Motion Cutter, what we have done, this is one of our engineers, with his Motion Cutter tattoo already on there as well, is we've made the spot size of the laser super small, under 200 microns. So that we need less power to cut through. If we're using less power, we're not burning. We also have our steel mesh as our conveyor. Now the steel mesh, it's very fine woven mesh. The laser can't cut through steel. The frequency of the laser can cut through paper, it can cut through leather, it can cut through plastics, but not through hardened steel. The other reason why we have a mesh is the laser's actually able to go all the way through. So you're getting less reflection coming back up from underneath. But it also means, and I'm going to bring on to the part of the extraction, is that we are able to have extraction fans from underneath. So we're sucking the smoke away from underneath through the mesh and above at the same time. So if you're able to pull the smoke away, you're not getting that orange browning that you usually get with lasers on paper. And it's okay, some people feel it's fine if you've got one side which is good. Well, in print, no, we need both sides to be perfect. So we've got very strong extraction either side of the steel mesh. As I said before, there's a lot of dust in lasers because of the paper and the smoke as it's coming up. The extraction can take away a lot of it, but also static within the machine will mean that the dust will stay there. You don't want to be closing machines down to clean them out every couple of hours. So one of our other unique patents on this machine is that we have a cleaning station on it. So what this is doing is it's cleaning the belts at all times, meaning that it's using just a sponge, and it's just purely water that's in there that's cleaning it, and that tank needs changing each day. Now, as a manufacturer, we are very willing to send people German tap water. We find it's the best tap water for our machine, but we're happy if you want to use your own from your local countries as well. So we also have the Galvo. The Galvo is the mirror. But we realize that sometimes people still want to do 3D pieces. There's times when the customer will ask you, can I do a piece of wood? And it seems silly to have a laser and not be able to do other things other than just paper on it. So on the front of our machine, we have a door, a big window that just opens up, and you can place things inside. So you have the best of both worlds. You have the cabinet laser and a laser which moves in motion as well. So you can do things like engrave pieces onto wood, etc. as well. It's not what we designed the machine for. We designed it for paper, but we found that it can do lots of different things. We have a customer in the US, a chocolate company, who is engraving into chocolate, and they're engraving personalized messages into the chocolate bars. We're finding out from our customers all the time what they're able to do with our machine. As I say, we designed it for the print industry, but it's kind of being used in all different things. Also speed. So we are able to take sheets from the feeder underneath the laser, cut them, pass them through to the other side at up to 45 meters per minute. So we have a maximum of 8,000 sheets an hour that are able to pass through the system. That's not every single type of cut. That's for basic cuts, you know, squares, circles, general die cuts. This is a one sheet of paper. This piece here, which goes out into a 3D card, is very fine cutting. So for something like this, we're actually only getting, these are all on one sheet itself, we're getting between 800 and 1,000 sheets an hour through cut like this, but all automated. Left from the feeder, go through, come through on the other side, all finished. Well, except for the handwork to put them together, obviously. And the last part is our workflow integration and hot folders. On our very first machine that we made, it was more about how we manipulated the laser to do clever things. We've kind of simplified all that in our newest version and our newest release of our software, where we now have hot folders, where you can put in all the cutting jobs that you have for today, put them into the hot folder. All the operator has to do then is go, it's that file, it's that paper setting, run. And then the job will just come through, and you can stack multiple jobs onto the feeder. Say how many there are of each job, and walk away and get on. And then you come at the end and just pick them up and take them away. So we've tried to integrate the system more into a general print environment and print workflow. So it could be one sheet of one thing, 1,000 sheets of the next, 60,000 of the next. It doesn't really matter, and the machine doesn't really care. As long as you've told it it's doing these jobs in this order, and it will just run through. We also have QR code readers on there for reading for personalization, so you don't have to keep print order. Because often when you've digitally printed something, and you may have personalized the sheets, well, you can print a QR code on the bleed. It can go through, it can read them, and every single sheet as it's going through, it will read that one needs John cut out in that section, and it will do it automatically. And it will also do the same for the cut files too. So, I'm going to apologize to you for a moment. I didn't manage to embed my films into my PowerPoint display. So if you bear with me for 1 second, I'm just going to pop over and I'm going to show you this machine working. Go on. Yes. So this first video is from one of my customers in Austria. This is our old version machine, and I will show you our newer version shortly after this. So this customer is showing a mixture of things. This is it in motion, where it's doing just general die cutting as it's going through. He's also showing where you can use it as a XY laser as well and do 3D objects that you couldn't feed. This is actually a wedding invitation in wood. This is it running in motion, going through. So he's also showing he's cutting cork, acrylics, leathers. That's just grey board, where he's just engraved into the grey board, and even ceramic. Ooh, and I'm going to show you one more video, so please don't turn the lights on quite yet. So this is our motion cutter video, and this is going to show you some of the different applications that we use. That's what the machine looks like, obviously with a feeder on one side. So all in the same pass, we can cut, perforate, engrave, and also personalize. So on this video, we've actually slowed it down very slightly, so you're actually able to see the laser working. This is doing packaging, so just basic boxes as it's going through. And what it's doing is it's also creasing at the same time. So what it's doing is a half cut with the laser at the crease points on the internal creases. On the next piece it's going through, this is the machine pretty much at its fastest, about 8,000 sheets an hour. What this is doing is a cut across the top of the shoulder and then a micro perforation, so it's like a credit card pull off on the top of a mailer. We've not cut the sides of this because what we've done is we were the way that we were shipping these out was that we got the stack and we just trimmed 3 sides with a guillotine when we had a big stack of them. It just made more sense. It was actually quicker and easier to handle. But as I say, the shoulder cut and the perforation all done with the motion cutter, and that was a run of nearly 100,000 of those. Labels. So this is just kiss cutting a label. Could be any shape, and as I say, every single one can be completely different. We like to show a lot of the picture of the machine, I don't know why. Okay, now this is how finely we can control the laser. These are coated sheets, and what we're doing is removing the coating back to the white paper underneath again. It actually makes a really nice look and also a feel. It's got a texture to it. These were actually used on a Swiss watch manufacturer's catalogue, so they had them on as the front cover because it looks fantastic, but also people could feel it, and it showed through on that. We've got one more. So the next part is the personalization. So the CSV file has gone into the system, and on here we've got a name area which we're cutting through. The CSV file is taking each one there's me. I think it shows me twice on there. We did a few of mine. Now that's the end of that one, and I'm going to go back into the presentation. So that last piece that you saw, lights back up there, okay. That last piece you saw, you see the name was being cut out of it, and it was a circle with a heart in the middle. That was for a German coffee company who wanted more loyalty from their customers, and nobody was signing up, nobody was filling out forms, nobody was going online to do any of this, and they were trying to work out a way of how they could get more connection with their customer. So they came up with this idea. You went online, and this was shortly before Valentine's Day. You went online and you gave the name of the person that you love, and the promise was that you got a free cup of coffee for it, and you just gave them your name and address, and those details came to our print house, and what we did is we cut them with the name of the person they love around the outside. There's also a micro perf around the bottom of the circle, and that's sort of the mail folded in on itself. Now that was sent out to people, and they went in on Valentine's Day to the coffee shop. They pulled off this circle which had been perfed, they put it over the top of a cappuccino, they put the chocolate on it, and then you had a cappuccino with a love heart and the name of the person you love on Valentine's Day to go to them and give it to them. So it's personalizing print, it's giving print a physical use. The only way you can do variable data finishing like this is with a laser. The value then is so much higher. The money that you make from the customers is so much more. So yes, we can do general cutting. We have companies who are using our machine purely just for die cutting. There's a company in the UK that was doing over 3,000 dies a year. They stopped using dies completely and are using our machine for all of their die cutting. And the return on investment on the machine was 9 months. So for them, it was a no-brainer. It was an easy thing. And also with their workflow, it works very well that they can do the print jobs for that day. The cutting pieces are all going up onto their cloud, being dropped into the hot folder for Motion Cutter, and going to their print servers. Everything's very easy, coming through, being recognized, nothing's lost, it's reporting back when it's been done. It's a very simple process. So yes, it does all of the basic cutting. It also does perforations, every type of perforation you can imagine, through micro perfs through to 3 centimeter dashes to a dot or whatever you want. And the thing is, within the software on the machine, you can change the perforation, because how many times have you had a die made and you go to pull off the perf and it rips the paper, or it's falling out of the sheet because the perf is just slightly wrong for the type of piece that you've got. So you can make one, check it, yep, the perf's really good for that piece of paper or for the reason that you need it for. And if it's not, and you need more holding points, or you need to make it easier to pull out, then you can change that within the software console of the Motion Cutter, rather than having to go all the way back to pre-press and starting again. The engraving, you've seen the engraving. Now the value add on this is actually pretty high. We've got a control on the laser where we can go through, as I say, from just touching it to removing a piece of ink. So on here, this was black, and then we've just gone over it with the laser to make it white again underneath. So we can remove that, or we can cut all the way through. We can do the labels. So we can do labels nice and cleanly, and again, one sheet of labels. A customer in the US is selling one A4 sheet of labels for $25 for one sheet of paper. Now what people are doing is they're going online, they're uploading a photograph, and they're able to do like a surround, a cutout surround, whatever they want. So imagine it's your mother and father's wedding anniversary. They've been married for 40 years. You get a you get stickers made up of them on their wedding day, with an outline of them as the happy couple together. Everybody at the party gets one. Oh, isn't it lovely for mum and dad? So it's things like that these people are selling 1 sheet, 2 sheets of stickers for, but $25 a time. The thing is, your only real cost is the printing of one sheet. Motion cutter doesn't have any consumables on it. So what you're doing is you're making one sheet of paper $25. With the fancy cutting, this is one sheet of paper that's making this greetings card. That's a $10 card. And that's what they're being sold for. Again, how many times do you print one sheet of paper and it's worth $10, $20, $25? The print companies don't like it when I say this. I don't want to print so much. I want to make more per sheet. I'd rather print 10 sheets and make $10 per sheet than print 200 sheets to make the same money. The value add by being able to use a laser cutter, by being able to use a motion cutter, is massive. Every single piece can be one, or it can be tens of thousands. It doesn't really matter. You've got no outgoing cost once you've got the machine inside. And the speed that it's able to manage, the quality that it's able to manage, it's like printing money. Packaging. Everywhere I go, at every show, everybody tells me packaging is the next place to be. Packaging is where you're going to make the most money. I haven't found it yet, but I'm sure there's many that have. Short run personalized packaging. No dyes. Just print it on the sheets, put it through the laser. It's pretty much done everything that you want except for the hand putting it together or running it through a folder gluer or whatever you want to at the end. The machine can be run in line with other units, as you saw in the first video I showed you. That gentleman, Esterman, in Austria, has it where he's printing, it's going through our machine, it's then going off on a run where it goes through a folder gluer, it then goes to an inkjet machine to have an address put on it before it's then sent out to the customer. But it's all one line that he's using to do that. We've got other customers that it's offline or near line. So they're printing, putting it on the feeder, it's going through. They sometimes just do one sheet, in which case they don't put it in the feeder. They'll open the door on the front and they'll place the one sheet in and they'll cut it there. It's very, very simple. There's 4-5 seconds between setups. So you've got no downtime. You've got no burning. Here's fancy cutting. This is what everyone thinks a laser's for. That and these sort of greetings cards, where you do pieces which you couldn't die cut. So again, how much is a customer going to pay for this sort of thing? Where's the value to them? We talk about value add all the time, but the value add to me is about how much as a printer we can get, how much value we can get in our pocket from that one sheet of paper. And again, I can only see you doing this with a laser.
Time is running out.
Yes.
And, should we make room for a question or two, maybe? How do you think about that?
Do you mean I haven't told them everything they need to know? Yes, please, ask some questions.
Any questions? Frederick, did you have one? No. So I ask one.
Yes.
If this amazing machine that you are telling us about,
yes.
How come there is none in Sweden? All those smart guys in front of you.
I know. Now the closest we actually have somewhere in Norway. We have 2 in Oslo.
Two in Norway and none in Sweden.
None in Sweden. The reason for this is because I am our only salesperson for our company globally. Now I have machines in Mongolia, I have machines in South America, but we don't actively pursue people. We don't knock on doors. We don't do that yet. As I say, we're a print company who've become manufacturers. So we are now coming to Sweden to say, look, we're here. Look, we've got this exciting piece of machinery which is able to add a lot of value to everything you're doing, but not just the added value part. As I was trying to point out before, all of your general die cutting you can be putting through the machine. So when people look at investment, they often don't look at. I always say look at it as what can you do now? Can you do your die cutting? How much money are you going to save for your die cutting? Then when you add new products, when you offer a sheet of 1 labels, when you're able to do the fancy cutting and things like that, add those on top. But the first thing you should do is look at your just general die cutting, the time that it's taking for changeovers, the amount of time you can save with all of this. And I think that's the first point that everyone's got to start at. And then try products on it as well. So generally what we would do with new customers is we would say, send us your files. Send us what you would like to try, and we'll run them for you. We'll put them through our machines, we'll film them being done for you, and we'll send them back to you. It doesn't matter if the customer's paying you for them. I don't mind that. I want you to see what we can do. And then when you're able to see what we can do, then that's when we start to get the interest from people. So the reason why there's none in Sweden is because I've never been here before.
So we are very happy to have you here then. Great. I'm sorry to say, but we need to change for the next time is up, actually. So wait 30 seconds with the applaud.
Do I do my song now?
You can do a song or say something. Good. You're here for dinner tonight, of course.
Yes, I'm here, and tomorrow, yes.
And so plenty of time to speak with you, Sean.
Yes, and I have some samples out on the table out there. Please
Yeah.
come and have a look at some of the samples. And as I say, if you want me to do anything for you, drop me a card, and we can talk, and we'll run some of your samples for you.
Yeah. Any questions?
Well, now they all come. Okay, well, this one first. What kind of software do we use for the machine itself? What we want from you? Okay, I want any vectored format. So I can take a PDF, I can take an AI, I can take a DXF, I can take pretty much any vectored format. As you see on, luckily enough, I had this one open. What you need is the cutting lines, a color. There's two different things happening here. One is red is the cut, this is the crease, which we've used as a yellow. But that's basically the same as you have for a die. That's all my machine needs.
Great.
We'll have a talk about that later.
Okay, last question unanswered. Maybe later for dinner.
Yeah.
So interest is awakened, and more questions later. Now,
Yep.
So a big applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it's time for Mark again,
Round 2.
and we're getting the last one in. Sista man. So
Stage
just
is
get
mine.
going,
Okay.
and so we don't get the
Perfect.
most out of it.
So welcome back to round 2. What I want to describe here is a little bit more how we went into this project and what are the reasons and what we did. I think it's to understand what are the barriers also from our perspective, what we did achieve, why we made which decision in doing things. So I call the project, if it's a good name or not, we called it MD Print 4.0 because it's about our idea is to present really an industry 4.0 that it is possible in these days. Instead of talking, we just try to do that. And I think everybody knows Industry 4.0, this cyber-physical interaction between data, machines, and humans. This is exactly what we try to picture with our solution. We think books as before also. That's our core business, and that's what we concentrate on. So the why. We saw the influence and the demands of the environment which is changing in the future and which is changing already, what we need to do. So if we just picture these beautiful dots, this is just representing orders. If you look in the past, you received limited titles but huge amount of orders, also amounts what you're producing there. So if you look in that time, okay, you had 20% administration work and 80% was production. That was fine, so that's an equal mix. But if we look at the work mix today, we get more titles but in lower quantities, and this is even more decreasing. That means with a structure what we had before, this doesn't work out anymore because now it takes us 80% for administration and 20% for production. That's a huge problem, and legacy systems can't fulfill that because the entire idea of legacy systems was based to bring paper in some digital formats but didn't request to optimize certain processes with it. And therefore for us it's really important, was really important to understand and to see this challenge and recognize and try to translate them into a solution. We need to find a solution how we change that we have again 20% administration and 80% production even in short-run environments. So the only way is to transform into a smart factory. That's the only way. You have to turn it around your company. You need to integrate as much as possible. You need to automate as much as possible. And you have to streamline as much as possible. So, but also when you start such a project, this is your answer, where to start. Yeah. So, because such a change has a huge impact on the entire company. Fears, barriers, lots of strange things can happen when you start such a project. So due to the trends what we saw with digital printing, it's getting more improved and we can sell that also equal to offset quality. We can go down to lower quantities. We came to the idea to say, okay, guys, we will implement a new business unit within the Livonia Print organization who's just dedicated for short-run environment digital produced products. And this gives me a green field, which is more, it feels better. It makes life much easier. But the solution of that business unit should enable our publishers that they can order books very cost efficient, regardless on the order size, regardless on delivery time, regardless on the product, because we don't want to give any limitations. So what is the challenge and the solutions for it? If you want to transform into a smart factory, it's nothing else like digitalization. That's the same thing. If you digitalize your company, you have a smart factory afterwards. So you need to achieve a process and an environment where it really allows you that you receive a PDF and you send out a finished book, fully streamlined, fully without interruptions. So, but also we had huge demands, and Ulf, yeah, we can be a pain in the ass in certain points because quality is really important. So for us, the solution needs to provide the same quality what we are doing in offset in the digital environment. And we don't allow any differences in there. So we are teasing our vendors also in this direction that they improve their quality standards, which is matching to our quality standards, which is matching to our customers' expectations. So difference or limitations, it's not a solution for us. It's not acceptable. That's something what we are not allowing. It's important that everything what we do in offset is imaged in our digital production. But if you do this, it has a huge impact on the involved equipment. So that's also a barrier. We duplicate every process step what we have in offset for the digital environment. And there's, I think, the only ethic problem what you have, and I can explain it why. When you have an offset printing house and you're on your peak season, you're fully blocked on all the machines. So if you establish now a digital facility doing also digital products, and it's not only digital printed products or digital produced printed products, but if you streamline at one finishing device and you receive an order from your AAA customer, 10,000 copies, at the same time you get from the same customer 100 titles with 100 copies, it's the same amount with the same tendency. What is right, what is wrong? You can't deliver the same at the same time, both products. So that's why for us was it really fast clear that we need to duplicate, that we don't get into this struggle. So you will find vendors which come with hybrid solution and how great they are and everything what you can, but you always come at the same point. What is if everything is blocked? There is the ethic decision what you need to take. And for us, we don't want to take this decision, that's why we duplicate. To get an overview, this is just a rough structure. Many things what you need to consider. So we have our PDF, we have our digital printing units from 2 i300s, one color stream. Then another one is coming. Folding line, sewing, case making, perfect binding, book block preparation, hardcover casing in. And also there are many other little devices which are also very necessary, like lamination, all these things. But what you also learn from our investment level, we invested in level 3 automated finishing equipment. So if you take offset machines as level 1, level 3 is fully automated. But even the most automated machine doesn't help you if you don't have an integrated workflow which can feed the system with the right informations at the right time and do the actions afterwards. So this is also a very important topic, is the software. Even the most important topic in this environment. So, and this was also the moment in that project where I was getting very frustrated, because for the publishing industry there was no software available. There's a lot of things available for web to print, B2C, mass customization, but nothing for the publishing industry. So this was then the luck came into that game. So for this purpose, we are developing and working together with vendors a totally new software solution, which is not there today. So the first part of this solution is that we need to streamline all necessary informations, and that's semantically correct. We need all necessary metadatas, getting from the customer, getting it into our system, that we can do something out of these informations. So the first step is we designed a portal. And the portal is the new start of our new communication between us and the customer. It's the link between us. And also there, since there was nothing available, we could picture everything what we think it's the right way. And the idea of a portal is to avoid the telephone. So you need to simplify such a system that it's much easier to work on a portal instead of calling your sales guy that I want to have these books. So with that, we really simplified as much as possible. In our system, you won't find more than 7 informations at one time and not more than 2 clicks to the next step. Because that makes the life so easy to work with this portal that you don't even want to call. So this we put a lot of thinking into this into this solution. We can picture every product in there, and no matter what we are doing as books concerning, but this simplifies a lot. It is a change, as I mean, when we had the first talks with publishers, it is a change because it changed the communication between both sides. But it's the only way to automate processes. But this is only a slightly part of it for such a digitalization. So beside the portal, we are designing a fully new integrated platform, software platform, to provide to any device, to any human, the right information to the right time and do the right actions afterwards. And I'm a man of pictures, I like pictures. So what we are doing right now is really we're designing a digital human brain. So the portal is the eye, which is detect informations as you are doing at the same time. and sending these informations in the main part of the brain. This main part is a fully new MIS system, which is totally dynamic. And this is managing the entire process. So it's collecting data, it takes this data, it takes this information, it's sending out the quotations, makes the calculation in real time, everything what is necessary, and transport it to the next devices. But since you have multiple different partners or vendors in your company, with one is have an hot folder structure as a communication platform, then you have others who have JDF, JMF workflows. So you have multiple languages software-wise and interfaces in your environment. So therefore you need to establish a middleware. A middleware is nothing else like in your part of your brain which makes a language, which makes you talking. So this part of the system is translating every information what it comes from the MIS to that information which is required for this device which should do something. So for example, for pre-flight automation, it changes to that language what is necessary for them. For our finishing devices, it's JDF. For the print engines, it's XML. And also on the streamline, on the backwards direction, it also retranslate. That means we receive a JMF and we translated it to XML for the MIS system. And this is a continuous process. And then you have a third layer, and the third layer is the part when your brain says, okay, now move your arm, move your feet. So that's the machineware, which takes this information and push it into the machine controls. That the machine is doing actively something out of this information, makes an automatic changeover or whatever is necessary in that step, without interruption of an operator. So everything is barcode driven, activated by an barcode, and then the machine is doing a fully automatic changeover. We integrate suppliers, paper suppliers or whatever, that we have real-time informations, because we need, if you want to have a dynamic system and a picture. Okay, just a second. You need all available semantic informations. And only then you are allowed that you really can have a dynamic calculation of certain products. You have a dynamic way to plan products if you have all information at the right time. So that's why we integrate as much as possible. Same with logistic partners. We look for logistic partners which we can directly connect via interfaces to our systems. We still have a legacy MS system which is Navision, and we are still using that because the new one is really good in the regards of production planning, calculations and those things. And the legacy one is really good what is the controlling part. That means financing and those things. So that's why this part is still there, but it's limited in the functionality for our digital department. So with that, we really have a combination about level 3 equipment plus a software platform which can feed this equipment very efficiently. And everything is based on standards. Everything is based on open standard interfaces, because with such a structure, I also can easily integrate directly MIS to MIS integrations. So in total, I received a greenfield project where I'm really happy with it, with a new business unit. We are totally decoupled from the offset world. So because we need to think out of the box, we need to work differently, because in a digital environment, you work differently than in an offset environment. We have a totally dedicated production for the digital book production. My owner and managing director was investing quite well into really state-of-the-art technology that we can achieve something like that. And we really designed something from the ground new in the software platform-wise, based on standard components. So such a project is nothing else like a puzzle. You start to puzzle. Digitalization means really 100% rethinking of everything what was done before. You really need to rethink about everything. Was it right? Was it wrong? Some things are good, some things can be optimized. It's lots of research and development, to be frank, because there is really nothing what you can just buy from your shelf. It's not there. And with the right components, with the right puzzle components, you really can design a really nice solution. But it also have to be clear, such an digitalization project is a continuous improvement process. It's a never-ending story. Because you learn day by day something else which you need to add on, which you need to optimize, and I think that will continue. Even if the system is ready and starting, you still learn and learn and learn and optimize. And that's something what you can see in the car industry, and I think that's a good topic to really to review them, how they are doing these things, because that's the same thing what we need to start to do. As I said, we believe in it, we are really doing it right now, and we are quite far already. Thanks.
First, I have one question
Sure.
before we let the others come in. I take the opportunity. When we discussed before this, we talked about big data, and you told me
Yeah.
about how you collecting data from every process. Every process.
Everything. I collect every semantic data I can receive. I force every machine supplier and vendor to open up their interfaces in a direction that I can gather all machine informations.
You force them? Is it a problem?
No, it's not a problem, but you need to describe the interfaces with them. With the big ones, it's not so difficult. With the smaller ones, that's a different discussion. We gather all informations what we receive from the outside world. That means the people who are working on the portal, the people which are directly integrated. We are gathering all the logistic informations. Because for us, even if we are not using it right now, but we need to understand what we can use out of it. Because you can design with semantic and big data, so you can design different business models, for example. You can design different ways how to do things. You can provide additional services to the publishers, because if they allow that a bookstore can order at our place directly a certain backlist of their orders, we can give these semantic data back to them and say, okay, in that area, this type of titles selling really good, maybe you should look for an author who's writing something in that. So it's really something, as more as we connect together, as more data we are collecting and as more we can use. From the machine view, I can learn a lot of it, because we go so far that we even integrate the operators into that system. And then I see exactly what is the performance, what is the theoretical performance of the machine, what was the performance of that shift with that operator. I can dig in what was the issues, and then with that I can make automated process to say, okay, maybe we should order a training, because these and these issues are cured by training issues. So this is really important. Such a system needs to gather everything what it can get.
So how about the operator in this case that are what do you say in English? Övervakad, watched.
It's not really watched. It's
But I guess you can feel that.
You can see it. I mean,
as an operator, you can get the feeling that okay, they measure everything I do every single second, and you can see if someone is a bit slower than someone else.
But sure, but why should it be a disadvantage? If you know that it doesn't mean that he's in trouble, but it means that I can support him to get better. But on the other hand, we need to, if you want to have a smart factory which is transparent, and if you turn around your company totally, and you want to have the possibility that you know everything from your company, you know exactly every cost which is occurred, you want to provide the best service to your publisher and streamline how fast the delivery could be, you need to have these informations, and you need to use them.
Because like you're saying, it's the individuals, you know, you can monitor the machine, but can you monitor the individual? Do you see that's the way around?
He needs to log into the system, and we know when he starts and we know when it ends. But he needs to log to the system, because otherwise we can't streamline these informations. For sure, I mean, that's something what we will discuss. For sure, this is an important topic. But it's the only way really to get the full picture in a company. And the car industry doing that forever. This is nothing new. Even in Germany they are doing that. This is...
This I think, sorry. I think there's a lady that's going to be talking probably, is it Anna? GDPR? Yes. That's coming through. So there's going to be some implications on how much data you can actually collect and hold and...
Sure,
you know.
for sure. But as I said, if you want to achieve something, you need to collect these data. If you're using or not, that's a different. You can black them out. That's not the point.
Sorry, can I ask my other question?
Sure, sure.
You're very lucky because the scenario you've described
Yeah.
is
Cool.
very unusual. You're talking about duplicating finishing as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the real world for most of us. You're very lucky because you've got a guy who's
Visionary.
created, visionary. Yeah, that's very unusual.
It is, and I'm really glad to have that possibility. But it's that's belief is a really important thing. If you don't believe in digitalization and in a vision to achieve to something new, then don't do it. But the future is going this direction, and you need to be prepared for these things. For sure, I understand every customer who say, okay, maybe a hybrid is the starting phase good enough. But if you get so much volume and you get to the topic, you have to do the investment sooner or later. But sure, I'm the lucky guy in that position, but you can start also in small environments. You can just say, okay, I take a dedicated product from your production and we automate just this product, just to see how it works, just to get a proof, and then you add on. It doesn't mean that you have to do a greenfield project, everything is new. That's a different story. I'm lucky. But this is the only way to prove such a possibility.
We had a question here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on. It's on.
Okay. Okay. My name is Morten, and I have a question here. I'm just the optimization process that you're working on, and
Yep.
as part of Livonia Print. Is it in order to gain market shares, or is it to gain lower prices, or is it to get more profit for Livonia?
Get more efficient. Get more efficient and enhance the service. What we want to achieve with that, we want to change from a print supplier to a service supplier.
And I understand that part, but I'm just because I mean, whenever you have a company where you try to optimize a process,
Yeah.
there is an output of it, and if there's not an output that you can actually have a lower cost on production, then the question is whether you want to give that optimization value to your customers in order to gain market shares, or you're interested to actually keep a certain price level in order to become more profitable. And I'm asking because we are in general talking about a shrinking print market, and every time a printer is lowering prices, the overall market is in big problems, and this is not a cheap system that you're working on here. So I'm just wondering, you have probably some kind of objective that also have some kind of financial output.
Yeah, the tendency is if I receive orders from a publisher with 200 copies, I can't do that efficiently, cost efficiently in offset. So I need to have a digital process to offer a solution which is not cheaper than the offset. Also, if you have the bigger volumes in offset, but it's in an agreeable price level. Because also there the publishers need really to compare apples with apples. So if you ask for 200 copies in a digital environment, you need to ask for 200 copies in offset environment. This is what you need to compare of. And they need to understand what is their benefit out of it. So what we design here is just a tool that the publisher has the possibility. If we gain more market shares, okay, it is a side effect of it. But the idea is really that we change to a service supplier, that we are a tool for this industry, either the publishers using it or not. I'm not forcing them to do that. It's their decision. I just offer something.
A last question. Someone? Interesting. Okay. Well,
I'm here, I'm here.
another big applause first.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there will be a break now for 30 minutes, and talk with Mark, talk with each other, and you will be here for dinner tonight. And so take a chance to talk more about this and everything else. Thank you very much. Det är faktiskt det bästa sättet, det är att stänga dörren lite så här, för då blir folk tokiga. Ja, du ser. Kolla här. Kolla här. Nej, nu stänger vi. Jag hörde du skulle in också. Ja, det är bra. Välkomna tillbaka allihopa. Kom igen. Ta en plats. Det finns stolar lediga. Samlade igen allihopa på samma ställe. Och nu har vi 2 stycken presentationer kvar. Madeleine och Mårten. Och först ut en expert på kommunikation. Hur man pratar med varandra för att skapa värde. Hur man kan få ut sina budskap. Massa annat sånt där. Och det här är någonting som jag som sitter på en position med branschkoll där jag tar emot väldigt mycket budskap. Så kan jag ju se att det här är väldigt behövligt.
Och vi träffades genom att jag skickade ett budskap till dig. Ska vi
Ungefär så.
Ja.
Och det var ganska långt, men det var mycket kortare än väldigt många andra. Och jag använde ovanligt mycket av det som du faktiskt skickade när det väl blev då. För det är så det slutar då i mitt fall. Det blev en artikel på branschkoll. Och jag använde ganska mycket. Ja. Väldigt ofta går det inte att använda någonting. Därför att det finns inget värde. Så tycker jag. Och i förhållande till de som ska läsa det jag skrivit naturligtvis. Men så att det är jättekul att du ville komma hit, och du får presentera dig själv och berätta själv om grejen.
Om digital kommunikation.
Exakt. Så välkommen.
Jättebra. Tack snälla. Hör ni mig bra där bak också? Ja. Super. Mitt namn är Madeleine Kornfell och jag driver en kommunikationsbyrå som heter Cloudberry Communications. Och jag är här idag för att prata om just digital kommunikation, eller hur vi kan kommunicera i de digitala kanalerna. Jag startade Cloudberry år 2000. Det är nästan 20 år sedan, jag vågar knappt säga det. Och jag funderade lite i morse hur det var när jag startade företaget mot bakgrund av digital kommunikation. Och jag kom på att vi skickade faktiskt pressmeddelande via fax. Så länge har jag varit igång. Det gör vi såklart inte idag, men vi har gått igenom en intensiv resa att digitalisera kommunikationen. Så några av de erfarenheterna kommer jag presentera under sessionen idag. Och sen ge lite handfasta tips på hur ni kan enkelt gå vidare om ni är intresserade av att kommunicera just i de digitala kanalerna. Men om vi börjar då med digitalisering. Vad är digitalisering? Vi pratar om digitalisering, vi pratar om digital transformation. Vi hörde presentationer nyligen kring hur musikbranschen digitaliserade sig. Det är på alla släppar. Vad är digitalisering för mig? Jo, för mig handlar det väldigt mycket om att det handlar om effektivisering. Vi effektiviserar våra säljprocesser, vi effektiviserar våra arbetsprocesser. Det handlar om automatisering, och det är väl någonting som ni också upplever i ert dagliga arbete. Inom kommunikationsområdet så tyckte jag det var väldigt spännande just igår när Publicistpriset delades ut. Tro det eller ej, men det var en nyhetsbyrå som har byggt en databas för att göra automatisera artiklar via AI som fick årets uppstickare. Så det visar lite grann om vad som händer i kommunikationsbranschen. Sen är det också väldigt mycket om snabbhet. För oss handlar det väldigt mycket om snabbhet i relationer. Snabbhet i kommunikationen som utmärker sig i digitalisering. Är det någon annan som har någon annan tanke kring just vad digitalisering betyder för er? Någon som vågar säga något? Nej, det kommer fler frågor under presentationen. Vad menas med digital kommunikation? Det område som jag jobbade i. Vad handlar det om? Jo, det handlar om att vi skapar fler relationer. Vi skapar fler relationer snabbare. Och vi skapar fler dialoger i fler kanaler. Vi behöver också agera utifrån att vi får väldigt snabb respons från vår målgrupp och våra kunder i det här fallet. Sen ska vi inte glömma att att de gamla traditionella metoderna med att vi pratar med varandra, att jag står här på scen, ni träffas ute i kaffepausen, det är också en typ av kommunikation och relation. Det har inte försvunnit, det är fortfarande viktigt, om än inte ännu viktigare. Men just digital kommunikation handlar om att man skapar ett nytt lager att kommunicera kring. Här har vi sammanfattningsvis. Om vi alla räknar till 60, om vi har 1 minut på oss, vad tror ni vi hinner då? Ja, vi kanske hinner skriva ett e-postmeddelande, så här lite dåligt med lite stavfel och så. Med de automatiserade spellcheckarna kan vi skicka iväg ett ganska taffligt meddelande. Vi hinner lyssna på en halv låt, tror jag ungefär. Och vi hinner kanske scrolla i vårt Facebookflöde och likea en bild. Det är ungefär det vi hinner på 1 minut. Men vad händer på 1 minut på nätet? Här är en rapport som kom ut i juni som visar då att vi tittar på 4,1 miljoner videofilmer på YouTube. Vi skickar 150 miljoner mejl. Vi gör 3,5 miljoner sökningar på nätet. Ja, och så vidare och så vidare. Det händer en fasligt massa på nätet där vi behöver befinna oss, där våra kunder också befinner sig. Ser vi det från ett svenskt perspektiv så kom Internetstiftelsen ut här med sin senaste rapport förra veckan om svenskar och internet. Och förutom att vi ser att mer än 4 av 5 barn under 2 spenderar tid på internet, att över hälften av 76-åringar spenderar tid på internet och att vi laddar ner och köper film på internet, så finns det ganska spännande statistik som har med just kommunikation att göra. Tittar vi på det så är då framförallt e-postmeddelandet fortsatt det viktigaste sättet för oss att kommunicera. Direktmeddelande, videosamtal och samtal via internet ökar också. Men e-post är det absolut viktigaste. Rapporten visar också att internet flätar samman vårt privatliv och vårt arbetsliv. Jag vet inte, hur många här är det som har kollat mejlen på semestern? Hur många här är det någon som har bokat en privat resa på jobbet? Ja, ungefär lika många. Så där ser man ju att det flätar samman och det påverkar också hur vi kommunicerar. Ska vi kanske skicka ut vårt nyhetsbrev söndag kväll? För det är då vi vet att folk tittar på Facebook. Eller ska vi skicka vår senaste bokföringsrapport söndag kväll? Jag vet inte. Det får man väl bestämma lite grann själv. Tittar vi på de sociala nätverken så är 56% av svenskarna dagligen på ett socialt nätverk och Facebook är det absolut viktigaste. Där befinner sig flest användare och då är det ungefär 74% av alla användare i Sverige som befinner sig på social media befinner sig på Facebook. Sen finns det andra sociala kanaler som Twitter, som Instagram, som Snapchat. Ja, you name it. Och där ligger ungefär användande på 20%. Snapchat, jag vet inte hur många som använder Snapchat i det här rummet, men det är det. Du gör det? Ah, high five på den! Har ni barn i tonåren, eller? Ja. Behöver ni kolla deras flöde? Eller har ni kompisar där också? Men i alla fall där är det ungefär 20% som ligger och skvalpar. Varför presenterar jag alla den här statistiken? Förutom att det är väldigt spännande och den är ny, den kom ut under förra veckan. Så visar den ju någonstans att om vi inte är på de här på nätet och utnyttjar alla de här tjänsterna som finns på nätet så blir vi utestängda från stora delar av kommunikationen som sker i samhället. Men det känns lite, det vet vi alla om. Vi går miste om möjligheter som påverkar vårt varumärke och vårt företag. Det vet vi också. Och förutom missade affärsmöjligheter så missar vi också ett lärande. Och det tycker jag någonstans är det viktigaste i det här. Att om vi inte försöker, om vi inte testar, så lär vi oss heller ingenting. Och som jag kommer att presentera lite senare så är det någonting som man kan använda och lära sig så är det det som, alltså internet. För det är väldigt flexibelt till så och enkelt att förnya sig. Men det kommer vi lite in på lite senare. Tittar vi på nätet och kommunikation generellt, eller digital kommunikation generellt, så är någonstans min tes att allt börjar med hemsidan. Och jag vill jättegärna fråga hur många som har en hemsida. Och jag hoppas att... Är det ingen som har en hemsida? Både och. Alla har idag en hemsida. Så någonstans så ska man då bygga sin kommunikation utifrån hemsidan. Och utifrån där bygga nyhetsbrev, nyheter, e-postmeddelanden, kommunicera med media, sociala medier och sök. Alla de här delarna är viktiga, men grunden är någonstans, mittpunkten är ju någonstans hemsidan. Om vi har en hemsida, och vad ska vi då ta tag i som nästa steg? Vi har gjort vår hemsida, vi tycker att det är bra. Vi får inte så jättemånga besökare till hemsidan, men vi har den, vi visar upp den för våra kunder. Hur får jag då nya kunder på hemsidan? Vad ska jag göra? Jo, jag tycker att man ska börja med nyheter. Skapa en nyhetssida på hemsidan som i sin tur sen blir ett nyhetsbrev. Har du aktivitet på din hemsida, skapar du nya nyheter där, lägger upp det hela tiden, så indexeras. Då hittar Google dig mycket, mycket bättre. Det vill säga, då kommer du helt plötsligt upp i sökordsoptimeringen när man söker på grafisk formgivning eller grafisk design eller tryck. Kommer man automatiskt snabbare upp utan att då kanske betala för sökordsoptimering. Det finns några viktiga delar i när man tänker kring hur man skapar nyheter. Först och främst är ju att man behöver ha ett mål. Vad vill man? Vilken typ av besökare vill man få? Vad vill man förmedla? Man behöver en redaktionell innehållsstrategi. Och när man skapar en redaktionell innehållsstrategi så är det ju viktigt någonstans att man funderar på vad läsarna vill ha. Inte det här, jag har köpt en ny tryckpress. Här står vi och dricker öl på fredagskvällen. Utan det handlar om att skapa någonting. Fundera på vad skulle jag vilja läsa om jag kom in på min hemsida. Vad är det som är matnyttigt? Hjälp besökarna läsa ett problem. Prata om rekommendationer. Ni kan också prata om tips och trender. Det kanske ni inte ska göra sådär jätteofta, för det blir lite tradigt också. 5 tips på. Men just det där att man skapar ett innehåll som är utbildande är väldigt nyttigt. Sist men inte minst är ju också någonstans att se till när ni gör en nyhetssida att gör den så att dina följare, att de som kommer in på hemsidan kan skicka det vidare. Facebookade eller twittrade eller skickade via e-post, så att ni får liksom en dialog i delen. Har ni nyheter på hemsidan kan ni också se vilka nyheter som går bra och använda dem sen i ett nyhetsbrev automatiskt. Så det är några tips kring första steget i att kommunicera digitalt. Analys. Analysera. Det mest fantastiska med att kommunicera på internet är att man kan analysera hur innehållet tas emot. Har du innehåll på en hemsida, eller då i det här fallet nyheter på din hemsida, så kan du enkelt koppla på Google Analytics och där får ni fina pajer var besökarna kommer ifrån, vilka nyheter läses mest, vilka nyheter läses inte alls, vilka sökord har man då kommit in på. Och den är ju en information som ni ska använda för att förbättra ert innehåll. Är man i de sociala kanalerna som Facebook till exempel, finns det liknande verktyg, se exakt hur ditt Facebook-nyhet går. Du kan också i dina inställningar se dina konkurrenter. Hur bra eller dåligt går det för dem på Facebook. Så det finns otroligt spännande analysverktyg som är till jättemycket fördel om man ska kommunicera digitalt. Och om man ska lära sig, om man ska komma vidare. Avslutningsvis så när ni känner att ni har hemsidan på banan, vilket ni alla har, när ni känner att ni har ett nyhetsflöde på banan, så är det dags kanske då att börja titta på sociala kanaler. Ni har ju denna strukturen klar med innehållsstrategi, alltså det är samma tänk som för nyheterna är applicerbart på de sociala mediekanalerna. Och vilken kanal ni väljer, om det är Facebook eller LinkedIn eller Twitter eller Snapchat, det spelar egentligen ingen roll. Så länge ni väljer den som ni är bekväma med och så länge ni skapar en kontinuitet och kommunicerar på rätt sätt. Här är också någon statistik ganska nyligen från juni från ett företag som jobbar med alltså analyser av sociala kanaler. Och där ser man väldigt tydligt vad folk vill läsa på de sociala kanalerna. Man vill att det ska vara hjälpsamt, man vill att det ska vara roligt, man vill att det ska vara ärligt och vänligt. Vad är det som saknas? Säljigt saknas. Och varför saknas säljigt? För det är ingen som vill läsa sälj. Så det är superviktigt. Jag vet att man använder de här kanalerna för att sälja, men man får inte vara säljig. Så det är någonting som man måste komma ihåg hela tiden. Och som sagt, man använder ju kanalerna för att öka försäljningen. Vad ska man då ha på de här sociala kanalerna när man inte får vara säljig, när man ska vara rolig och ärlig och vänlig och hjälpsam? Jo, man ska se till att man har erbjudande. Man ska ha utbildande innehåll. Man måste se till att man svarar på kommentarer. Det är högst på agendan. Och där pratar vi inte om att jag måste svara nu på sekunden när jag får ett Facebook pop-up. Utan där kan man ju tydligt säga att vi svarar en gång om dagen. Så man kan styra mottagandet där på ett ganska bra sätt också. Intressant och visuellt innehåll. Film är det bästa medlet idag eller metoder på sociala medier idag. Film och bilder. Och sen syvende och sist, försök att vara lite rolig. Var personlig på de här kanalerna. Avslutningsvis. Sammanfattning. Ja, digital kommunikation. Hur kommunicerar jag? Vill jag kommunicera på digitala kanaler? Ja, vi har pratat om innehållsstrategi. Det är viktigt oavsett vad ni väljer för metod. Utgå från läsarna. Ganska standard. Ha kontinuitet. Och då menar jag inte ha liksom dagliga nyheter. Det räcker kanske med en gång i månaden. Bara så länge man har en kontinuitet och man ser till att man menar allvar på det. För då kommer också besökarna att komma. Analysera. Det betyder att när man tar till sig analysen, man kan iterera, det vill säga ändra om. Man kan se vilka bilder som funkar. Då använder man de typerna av bilder. När man ser vilken typ av innehåll fungerar, ja, då kanske man kan anpassa mer och mer innehåll åt det hållet. Och sen uppdatera och gör om. Det är min tes. Gör om, gör bättre, gör igen. Jag har några tips på vad man kan få mer information. Svenskar och internet, om ni var nyfikna på den statistiken, finns jättemycket roligt. Det finns om 3D-printing till exempel. Det finns om VR. Om man vill titta lite närmare hur vi svenskar tar emot den typen av teknik. Sveriges kommunikatörer har jättebra information, enkel information kring de olika bitarna. Och för den som inte vill läsa eller också även lyssna så rekommenderar jag podcasten som Dagens Media har som heter Mediepodden. De ligger verkligen i framkant. Men även roligt och trevligt och enkelt att lyssna på. Tack. Några frågor?
Frågor någon?
Vi fick räcka upp handen så många gånger. Så det
Ja, men kom igen nu.
Hur många av er har ett nyhetsbrev? Mm. Och vad har ni i det nyhetsbrevet? Print. Ja.
Här har vi en fråga.
En fråga på norska till och med.
Ja, det går bra.
Jeg tror, altså når man hører sånn, så tror jeg nesten alle er enige at ja, det burde man jo gjøre mer av. Men så er det, som med mye annet, så er det litt sånn prioriteringer og tid, og ikke overraskende så er det lett å velge bort sin egen informasjonsstrategi og heller gjøre andre ting. Men anbefaler du å sette det ut, at man skal bruke eksterne til å gjøre det, eller blir det bare feil? Bør man gjøre det selv?
Ja, nej, självklart kan man göra både och. Men själv, om man vill alltså anlita konsulter är ju väldigt bra. Men det kostar ju också tid, ska man komma ihåg. Men däremot så tror jag ju någonstans att när man väl har kommit igång och har fått en relation så går det ju mycket, mycket smidigare. framgent och det går snabbt och man kommer också längre. Vi jobbar ju med det dagligen så vi vet ju lite grann vad som funkar och inte funkar ganska snabbt. Så min rekommendation är absolut ta in en konsult men tänk då att det också kräver tid. Sen är det ju det som jag sa tidigare att det handlar ju inte om att man måste skriva eller göra saker till dagligdags. Det räcker med ett nyhetsbrev en gång i kvartalet. Men se bara till att man har rätt innehållsstrategi, man har rätt analyser så att nästa kvartal när man gör nästa brev att man kan ta till sig det. Så att jag tror att det är ett måste. Ja.
Hur ska man förstå och bli övertygad om att man ska kanske ta in hjälp? Därför att jag ser många exempel. Jag säger inte att det finns många exempel här, men det finns i branschen där det görs dåligt. Man stavar fel, man skriver inte tillräckligt bra. Alltså kvaliteten på sättet man har gjort det på är för låg. Därför att man gör det själv och man lägger för lite tid på det. Men hur ska man fatta hur ska man bli övertygad om att det faktiskt kan generera någonting i försäljning då?
Ja. Precis. Ja, det enklaste sättet är nog att testa om vi pratar nyhetsbrev nu, testa ett brev själva och testa ett brev som en kommunikationskonsult har skrivit. Se hur många läsare ni får. Det är ett enkelt sätt att prova det. Sen tror jag överlag att språket som sådant och kommunikationen som sådan att det har nedvärderats väldigt mycket. Man tror att man behöver inte skriva så bra. Folk läser det ändå och så är ju inte fallet. Det kan man ju utgå från sig själv. Vad läser man och vad läser man inte? Vi har ett överflöd av information idag. Av både bra och dåligt. Och jag tror att där måste man vara ännu spetsigare idag för att nå ut.
Och det är dessutom så att de som ni ska kommunicera med jobbar med kommunikation. Och då blir det kanske ännu viktigare.
Ja.
Möjligtvis.
Ja, precis.
Okej.
Och ni...
Funderingar? Frågor?
Ja.
Ulf?
Nej, vi har mycket att göra.
Men återigen, jag tror att det ska vara roligt, det ska vara lustfyllt, det ska var inte rädda för det. Det ska vara kommunikation är härligt. Likaväl som tryck är härligt.
Tryck är ju kommunikation.
Ja, absolut.
Ja,
bra. Kommer vi få den här presentationen? Kommer vi få presentationen?
Ja, det kommer ni att få. Ni kommer få nästan alla. Jag tror idag har jag lyckats få tag på allihopa, så att ungefär som vanligt.
Bra, jag tackar så jättemycket. Ja.
En stor applåd.
Ja, tack.
Nej, men på riktigt, ta chansen och snacka med Madeleine. Ta in
Och drömma om det hela natten. Så att vi imorgon bitti när vi kör recapen, Ola. Och när gör vi det? 8:30. Då kommer vi att komma ihåg Mårtens visdomsord. We will remember your wise words. Som vi säger. Yes, it depends on a lot of things. Otherwise you can use this. Does it work?
Now it's green.
So what we will do now, Morten, we'll just leave it to you, right? And you will give us the punchline.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let me start somewhere else. My name is Morten. Some of you know me. Some of you wish you don't. And I'm a little bit out of the agenda. I will start with something that has not so much to do with my presentation, and then anyway. Because we have made this little brochure here on business cards in Denmark. And I want to give it to you. It's the paper is sponsored by Antalis. It's quite expensive paper. Every sheet is different paper. It's a 14 color offset printed work with spot varnish. So take a look at it. I will give you a reason why I'm giving this to you. Because everything here, I know that we have not been talking so much about it, but everything here is about paper and print and making money and making our customers convinced that the printed media still have a future. So when we did this one, that was for an exhibition Sign and Print in Denmark, and we did this because remember that every time you go somewhere on an exhibition, you may collect a lot of printed products, and after maybe you will trash that one because it's too big, basically, right? You may think that from a professional perspective that it's well done. You may not like the design, you may not like the paper, but from a professional perspective, I'm quite sure that you can appreciate that it has been put both time and money and effort into doing that kind of job. And we did that for maybe one of the most obsolete printed products in the industry, the business card. Who here produce business cards? Everybody, right? Who produce business cards in offset printing? One. Okay. Who sells 200 business cards for 3,000 kroner? I do. I sell approximately, I'm from a 3-person company. This is, just turn it around. You can take one if you want to. This is, we sell about between 60 and 70,000 kroner worth of business cards a month with in a price range of 3,000 kroner for 200, 250, 300 business cards. We also sell 250 business cards for 149 kroner. We do both, right? So just something to think about, because we're going to talk about prices. I don't know anything about prices. I have to apologize for that, because when I said to Ola I wanted to talk about prices, he thought that I maybe have something wise to say. That was an error. Or a mistake. Big one, right? So what I want to talk to you about is something much more in generic terms about pricing, because how many of you have an MIS system here for calculating prices? Okay, so when you do calculating prices, you get a cost base, basically, right? How many of you take your cost base and mark up the price in order to get a suggested selling price? 1. Wow. 2. I can tell you in Denmark it's maybe 90% of the printers that do it that way, I would say. So this is me from a garden when it was still nice. I'm the father to 3, 23, 12 and 10. And then I'm married to Nina, but I didn't dare to write her age in this little presentation, so forget about that. And I promised to talk about the mystery of pricing, cost prices, market prices, sales prices, but there is no mystery. That is basically, there's a lot of logic in it, there's a lot of emotions in it, there's a lot of things where maybe we feel that we are squeezed by the customers, but maybe we are more squeezed by ourselves, maybe we're more squeezed by technology, maybe we're more squeezed by whatever. We are afraid of getting enough revenue for the next VAT, for the next salary, for the next whatever, right? So why is it that to some prices is a mystery? This is not conclusive. I'm just trying to give a few punchlines, or it's because, I mean, I used to work as a sales manager in one of Denmark's largest printing companies, and we had I think we had 3 people that were doing the calculations. So the salesperson could just come and, I got a customer who wants this, and then they were calculating the prices. And I will share a secret with you. I will not reveal the name of the printing company. You can look at my LinkedIn for that one, right? But we didn't win all the quotes we gave. Maybe you do that in Sweden. Do you? No. So that's one of the reasons why there's a mystery when it comes to this pricing thing. Because we spent a lot of energy, we spent a lot of time to make offers that we believe are good and solid and good quality and everything in the process. And you know, it's so strange to some extent, because when we do this, all the prices, we have actually already made the production plan for our equipment. We have made how much paper we have to buy, how much waste we're gonna have. So we have made an entire process for finding out at least the cost price, right? So since we don't sell all the quotes we give, there might be an issue that we have to talk about. And the other thing is that, next line, nobody knows how many of the quotes actually turns into revenue. Because if you lose a job, if you give an offer and your customer don't accept it, you may not know whether they actually went to one of your competitors. You don't even know if they just used the price for a budget. No, that was too expensive, we're not going to do that. You have spent the resources in calculating. You spent the resources in actually giving the quote to the customer. You expect some kind of feedback, right? Sometimes we give a call and say, hey, did you get my price? Yeah, I didn't have time to look into it. That could be one answer, right? Nobody maybe really know our customer's potential, because when we look at the pricing and the quotes we give, how many, I mean, if we look at the total here, let's say that all of us has given 10 quotes a day. That is about 1,500 quotes. How many of these quotes in total turn into some kind of revenue? We don't know. We don't know how many is asked. I know that somebody believes that they have really loyal customer. And that is my certain second last statement, is that we don't even know if our customers are loyal, right? And should they be? Should they be loyal, or should it be so that they take the offer that is best because that is better for their business? Question. And the reason why mystery of prices is interesting again is if everybody in the printing industry, as we did in the 70s and 80s and maybe in the beginning of the 90s, was just seeing an increase in revenue and having a reasonable profit on what we were doing, then we may not be so focused on pricing, because business is going well, business is going great, and we see something that is good enough. But it's not like that right now. Most printing companies, or at least the industry in total, see a decrease in revenue. American study says that over the past 10 years, the revenue in the printing business has fallen 25%, and they expect it to fall further 25% over the next 10 years. So we have to focus on something like that. Agree or stupid? So my claim is that most printers, they use the MIS system or an Excel or Arific or Omikai or whatever to calculate a cost base. Take the cost base, then we know the price of the print. And then we are at 30%. Too expensive, way too expensive. We can't sell for that price. The competitors. And that leads me to the next one. We go online. If it's a business card, if it's a letterhead, if it's an envelope, we go online and see what our competitors are at least endorsing the prices for on their online portals. And that is a kind of a strange situation because, first of all, if we were calculating the price based on the cost base, you know as well as I do that the appreciation of equipment, the hourly rate of a printing machine, it's based on whether we use it 70%, 80%, 90% of the potential. So none of us is actually giving prices based on actual facts. It's based on actually what we believe. Of course, you will learn that when you have your fiscal ethics in the end of the year. That is where Ola comes in. So how big is the difference? Have you heard about Momondo? Momondo is a website where you put in where you want to go from Stockholm to New York, the period of time you want to go. And then you get a list of on airplanes that is. I mean, if you don't use just this kind of website, then you use similar when you travel, right? I mean, right? Yeah. Good. And you like that, right? Because it makes transparency. You can select, okay, 24 hours to go to New York. Ooh, that's a long ride. Even though it's pretty cheap, 1,995 for a return ticket. So, what do you think of this one? It gives you the same output. It just compares about 100 German online printing companies. So when you want to have a business card, which is in our international way, Visitenkarten, ja? Dann kann die vielleicht in Deutsch sprechen, ja? Briefumschläge und Blöcke. We get a list on prices that are at least online. Do you think our customers like this? Yes. And is that a threat to our industry? No? Nobody?
To some people.
To some people, okay. Because this actually, in my opinion, turns us a little bit back on what is pricing. Because if you want to sell for these prices, you have to make your printing company ready to produce this kind of prices. Because the online printers, there's absolutely no magic in it. The only thing they do, they gang print and they optimize. So it's only a matter of volume, right? I know that I'm exaggerating a little bit. That's the point. So, how much does print actually cost? And that was what, this is not real figures. That is just some stupid figures. You know. But let's say that a typical printed job is 40% paper. Then we have some consumables, we have some labor, we have some administration, we have some depreciation, and probably a lot of other things. So this is how we, in the daily life, is operating with our cost base. Because I mean, I say that we can't use cost prices for pricing, but we of course needs to know what we actually what the cost of our product is. So, in my opinion, the cost price is not important in these incidents. And the first one is that if the market is the one that defines the prices, let's say that you have made a business card, you have pre-calculated in offset that the price should be 2,000 kroner for 250 business cards, printed on 350 gram matte coated paper, focus 4, trim to format. Pretty simple, pretty standard, right? You will not be able to sell it for that price. So either you have to gang print, or you have to buy from others and sell it, or you have to just acknowledge that if you want to have a piece of that cake, you need to sell something with a loss. Because the philosophy here can be say that, okay, if you have a customer who has, let's say, 300 employees, you need to print the business card for a low price, otherwise they will not print their annual report, right? Then you can have that argument. So, in my opinion, it's like cost prices is only an estimate based on terms of a certain condition. First, cost prices doesn't say anything, and I repeat, anything about what the customers are willing to pay. Doesn't say about anything about what kind of competitive situation you are. And in my opinion, cost prices is only useful to figure out expected profit. So let's say that you You calculate a price, let's say 1,000 Swedish kroner, and you're able to sell it for 2,000 kroner. Then you can figure out that you have a profit of 1,000 kroner. What if you calculate that you should have 2,000 kroner in cost price, and you can only sell it for 1,500 kroner? Should you then not sell it? How many here have sold something that has a lower price than your own calculated price? Ah, okay. I was just about to move to Sweden. So this is something that, in my opinion, is something that, see, we have not been talking about prices yet in relation to how you can actually use that knowledge. Because do you agree what I have said so far? Okay, so that is a real life situation that we see as part of our problems in the industry, right? We simply have too little information from what the customer is willing to pay in relation to how much it actually costs to produce the things they want to pay. That is my case. So, as I said, cost price is only a number. And that's why I sometimes think it's so fun because, for example, if you look at, I like the people from Arifik a lot. I know it's a great Swedish company too, but what I really like about it is saying now you can calculate the price in a second. Right? I think less than a minute, something like that. That is their payoff. But what price are they giving? They're giving a cost price based on the same parameters I gave you just a second ago with a markup. That's what they do. I mean, if you have, does anybody here have Arifik? Nobody? Okay. They have been pretty successful, I think. I don't know, but I think they have been pretty successful. And I think that what people like is rather than having complex ERP systems where you put a lot of numbers and pre-production workflow in line before you actually get the same thing as Arifik gives you, then it's much easier if you just like, I want 4 pages, 350 gram net code, focus for net varnish, whatever, right? And then you get the price right away. People in this industry like that, especially salespeople, because to have estimators, to use MIS systems, completely waste of time. They know it because when they go in the market, they can't sell always for the price that the MIS system is doing. So some of the things that we've been talking about, at least in Denmark, is that is there something called the market price? And what is the relation between market price and selling price? And in my opinion, and again, it's a biased opinion, the market price, there is no single market price. The market price is your price, and your price is the sales price. The question is, how can you make a profit? That is the main question, right? Because the reason why I claim this one, and I put a little green asterisk so I remember, because nobody can sell over market price. And think about it. If we can go to bookprice.de and all our customers did that every day, and they could see that the price of a letterhead was 500 kroner for 1,000 pieces, whatever. If they had been there and they've seen that price, would you be able to sell the same product for 1,500 kroner? It would be difficult, right? And in case you were able to do that, then you should have some extra added value, as we spoke about, Ravinder. It is question, can we add service to it? Can we deliver faster? Can we convince customer that we have a better product? Can we give customer the service and the support, maybe the design that he needs in order to justify a higher price? If we're able to do that, then the customer might accept that price point. So is the market price 500 or 1,500? No, in my opinion, it is that the market price is the price that customers are willing to pay. So we are not competing. If we are always trying to just compete on the lowest denominator, so we say that, okay, the laser trip in Denmark is also doing their sales here in Sweden. And you know, I don't know how the market here in Sweden, but in Denmark they say, okay, never has print been cheaper. But is that a value? I question that. That's why I showed you that for sure. That for sure, if you take the paper price, the print price, we bought 975 pieces of them. The Danish cost price for that was for 70 kroner per piece. 70 Danish kroner per piece. And we know it's trashed. Maybe some of you who took it will even trash it just outside there. Right? Did you see the business part? Did you like them? I mean, they're pretty cool, right? They come from
The first one, the one with the silver edge that I gave here, that is a foil edge made by a company called Göteborg in Denmark. It's a 3-person company. We have a film with her. That was the first film we did on English with her. She has been elected 3 years in a row as the world's best bookbinder, hand bookbinder. So can we sell a lot of those business cards? No. Can we sell a few? Yeah. And the more that customers are buying the commodity product, the bigger the market is. That is a mega trend that has been for several years. So my claim is that if everybody's just following the way that online printers, Laserprint, Print24, and what all the other names are, and try to go that direction, you need to have volume in order to make money. If you can't make volume on low-cost products, the only way you can go is the other way. Make products exclusive. Back to the handwork, the craftsmanship, to have the pride in the product and convince customers that actually the value of a business card like that man has a higher value. In my opinion, when I spent 70 kroner on that for sure, I spent 25,000 kroner on a small booth on sign and print. I know that also if you go out and you maybe have a phoner calling and you send sales representative out in the market, you end up in a situation that a visit with a customer may have cost you, let's say, 1,000 kroner, 3,000 kroner. You have hotels, your time, your car, your everything. And then you don't leave them anything but a business card for 14 euro. Wow. That really puts things in perspective. And that story you can tell every customer. I spoke to our transportation company last week when I showed him this business card. I said, "Geez, my printer never showed me any product that a business card could look like that." And I said, "No, and your business card is really shit, right?" Because it doesn't represent the values, and the only thing that I remember from you is a shit business card right now. That is a bad sale. So, in my opinion, market price is a relation between the perceived value, the service, and the actual money. I mean, if you have 1,000 kroner in your pocket and you're willing to spend 1,000 kroner and you don't have anything but 1,000 kroner, I can dance and I can sing and I can give you the nicest products in the world, but I can't sell anything to you that is more expensive. So every time we try to push up the prices with our customers because we give service, because we have to ensure that they have money. And we have to be sure that the product that we're selling them actually have, let's say, a likability, or we can convince them in the selling position that they actually have a value that is higher than the cheapest product in the market. As long as we just follow the path where all the online printers is mainly focusing on cheap, shitty, cheap products, I said cheap 2 times, then we're in a situation that if that is what we compete with, if that is where we set the bar, then maybe next year we only have people here, except the suppliers. Then there's 12%.
They will follow.
Okay, they will follow. And market price is so strange because it differs from customer to customer, from product to product, from time to time. So we can't say that a price. I mean, you know, I have a lot of suppliers where they say, "I want 2,000 brochures like last time," and they always say, "Hey, it's the same price as last time." Stupid. Has market changed? It could be cheaper. It could be more expensive. I don't know about you and your employees, but most employees, they want an increased salary. Our money gets less worth over time. So why is it that we think that customers can't understand that sometimes prices increase? And market prices can sometimes be compared, because there's a lot of competitive and commodity products that you can find on bookprice.de or lasertrick.se or wherever you want to see that, and your customers will see them too. But when the day is over, I'm certain that the products that you can actually make a living off is products that have a higher value, in my opinion. And I am almost finished. I took the liberty to take your, because your organization, Grafisk for Talking, did this one, is it 1.5 years ago now? Yeah. I don't know how much it has changed, but the reason why I like that a lot is because Ravindra and his team, together with this node, made a very comprehensive research and Ravinder spoke about it in Norrköping last year. And this puts things in perspective, because, and the reason why I was asking the nice people if they want to optimize their production and streamline their everything, right? Is it because they are here for the commercial printers and they just want to drag it further that way? Or is it because they want to make more money and move it that way? Or is it because if they dump all the prices in the market, then everybody has to follow them? Not them particular, but everybody. Because whenever you hear about a new and more efficient printing machine, what is the first thing you do? You lower all the prices. We don't want to make money in this industry. That is for certain. Because every time we have an advantage, maybe, just remember when large format came around. Large format was like very profitable business for the few that invested in large format maybe 5-10 years ago. Today everybody has a large format printer, and I know that a lot of you, ladies and gentlemen, here want to sell as many of them as possible. But nobody wants to make money, so that has also been commoditized. Next thing is, now we're talking about packaging. Wonder what will it do with price? Do you think they will increase? I don't think so. So I just want to remind you about this one once more, because your organization has done, in my opinion, one of the most important research work in the industry. We have made, in my opinion, the best film with Ravindra, where he talks about this one. I think you should go and see that. There's only a few hundred people that have seen it so far, but still the best film we've done. So, in order to get wiser, find inspiration, read books, magazines, of course see our, and also see that this view episode with Ravindra. And just about a final note, how many here buy magazines every month, every week? Isn't that sad? Okay, thank you.
So, any questions? Any counter strikes or?
I think there's a lot of reasons why it's up there. It's not me that's put it up there, and I think actually Ravindra may be able to explain that better. But I would like to give just my opinion about it, and then you can ask him as well. Print brokers, they have the advantage that they don't have to invest in new equipment, so they can freely move in the market with old capacity. That is maybe one of the things that is really important. And since they don't have any equipment, they have another advantage, which is tremendously big. I've been working in printing companies, and every time I've been working in a printing company, the owner of the printing company has always said, go and sell something for our machinery first. That one, they go and say, go and sell something. It's a huge difference in mentality. I think that is one of the reasons. I don't know if you have any other further comments on that.
Not too much on book. Not too much on the bookshops, but on the large format. We did a other research just to show how this has changed, and large format is now continue to have very good growth, but profitability has gone down considerably. Exactly what you suggested, because more and more of the industry has gone into large format, and thereby profit has gone down. So still growth, but now it's the competitiveness is fairly tough, I would say.
And I would like to add something that I forgot to tell, which in my opinion is important. We are talking about a shrinking industry, right? The issue is here that whenever we go down on prices in a market where volume is falling, the entire industry is shrinking. If we want to survive and we want to be able to invest in new equipment and new customers and new products and services, we simply need to expand the market. You need to expand the market. You can expand it by having additional offerings, more products, different kind of products. But you can also expand the market by selling more expensive products. And the reason why I showed you this brochure and the business cards is just because it's an example on something where most people, when they see it, also non-industry people, when they see this kind of product, they say, "Oh, so ein Ding muss ich auch haben." Right? There's a reason why we buy Volvos and Mercedes and not only Skodas and Fiat. Right? There's a reason for it. And if we can take some of that must-have attitude toward the print buyers, and I'm talking about mainly the brand owners. I mean, I wrote an article on LinkedIn that Ola translated to Bankskoll last week. A very simple question. If you are, let's say that you are Apple, right? If you were Apple, would you go to lasertrick.dk.se to buy 500,000 leaflets because they are 5 cents cheaper than from anybody of you? Would you do that? Would you jeopardize your brand on that? I wouldn't. I would at least hope that I have the money not to take those kind of considerations. But if we don't tell that story to the customer, it goes like this. That was a positive way, what?
Very positive. Very positive. You said that the only way, if Lasertrick or other goes that way, you have to go the other way. Yeah, that's what you said. And you do more exclusive stuff. But there can be other things to add values as well, like services.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest competitive advantage we have as non-online printers is basically that we can sit down with our customers, look in their eyes, and say, "What do you need? And what do you want to achieve?" Right? I mean, isn't that a great opportunity that if you go online because you decided to buy 1,000 flyers, you buy 1,000 flyers, you get 1,000 flyers, you pay 1,000 flyers. But if you go out there and maybe they need a website, or maybe they need a Facebook, or maybe they need a coffee table magazine, which will give them, the only reason why our customers buy from us is because they invest in something that can make their business better. If we can convince customers that our product can make their business better, the sales is quite easy, right?
But then the
What a
mentality
claim.
of our sales force
Oh yeah.
has to be shifted.
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about that.
Yeah.
The need for our sales force to be updated.
No, they should just be fired all of them.
Fire all of them, update them, train, whatever it is.
No.
Something needs to happen. A really big change needs to happen. That's why, as we talked about.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but
I agree with you, Martin. There are people that needs to be.
But the management in all the companies needs to be fired as well. Because what? I don't know how you're doing it here, but I can tell you there's still printers in Denmark that give salaries to their salespeople based on commission, on revenue, and not on profit. Is it like here? Come on, come on. Is it like that? So if you're a salesperson and you are hard on your budget, what is your biggest incentive? Is that to sell cheap or sell expensive? Some of you printer guys, you know how it is. End of year, Xerox's finance is coming and saying to you, "We need $4 million revenue in order to close the books," right? I think that if you buy printers end of year, you get them cheaper than in the beginning of the year. I can tell you that.
That goes with a lot of industries. I think we have a question from Ade from the UK.
Hi. The theory about the print workers and really PR communication, not print. How do you suggest we avoid them? Because I mean, the theory is, as printers, we've got all the innovations, we've got all the technologies, and we've got these gatekeepers in the way. How do we get around them?
Can I ask you a counter question? Are you a printer? Yes. Okay. And what equipment do you have?
We're mainly an indigo house.
Mainly indigo house.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a large brand owner in the UK. I would like to buy 70 million newspapers to make the giveaway to all the people in the UK.
Yeah.
Should I go to you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm going to have a conversation with HP. I'm going to have a conversation with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see see if we can work it out together.
Okay. But the reason why I was asking is because my claim is that almost non-printers in the world have equipment to cover all printing customers' needs. And that is why I'm saying that to avoid print brokers is maybe not the right solution. The right solution is maybe to have it. This is a suggestion. When I was a sales manager in a Danish printing company, I suggested this to the management, and they didn't like that idea. I suggested that maybe the production should be separated in at least as an entity within a company or a separate company itself, where they are focusing on making efficient production of whatever they do. And then they should have a sales company similar to a print broker, because the print broker's advantage, as I mentioned before, is that you are able to sell anything that the customers want.
But that's direct, that's in-house. Basically, the print broker doesn't give the full picture. Coca-Cola campaign, that was spread across the world. There's no one having that mission. It's about cooperation between us printers as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the problem is that if you are an owner of a printing company and the salespeople in the printing company is always forced to focus on filling up the machine they have in-house first, then you will have products that are not feasible to print in-house. That is my issue with this one. And I just want to tell you that this is not a sweet spot that we have done. This is based on a 7 years research on 2,000, 3,000, whatever. How many fiscal reports?
Those were around 2,000.
2,000 fiscal reports over a 7 years period, and that was Bisnode and the graphics that we're talking about. They did something called a simple model, because normally you will have difficulties comparing different sizes and different types of companies, because if you just look at revenue, if you just look at the result, then you will have an unequal balance in that one. So the simple index, which this indicates, makes an index where the index is a relation between capital cost and labor cost. So you will have an even relationship in that index, regardless of size of company. So this is not something that somebody's claiming. This is actually facts. Depends on how you define value. Because the value that is defined here is that is evident.
If they didn't add value, they wouldn't be here.
Yeah. They add value when you put it in relation to capital cost and labor cost. You can of course argue that they don't add value in the relation to the actual product or the actual service or the actual rollout of a campaign or whatever, because that can be like a design agent, it can be an advertising agent, it can be a bureau, it can be a lot of different things. But I think that what this, in my opinion, shows is maybe a much more important thing, in my humble opinion, and that is to actually rethink the structures of the industry. Okay. Yeah. Totally agree. No. Yeah. And that was why I was put last here today, because this is something I hope and believe that a lot of people would like to talk about during the evening, because there is no simple solution, simple answers to this one. This is because, I mean, we might be friends here, but we are fierceful competitors when we go outside. Right? And if I can sell something a little bit cheaper than you, I may get the sale. I want to be a winner on my own.
Maybe it's even this gives us the wrong picture, even having them here. Maybe they are not part of this industry. It's part of some kind of other industry, consultancy industry or sales industry or whatever. They don't fit here. They could be, I mean, there are brokers in any industry.
But that is
So these are print brokers.
Yeah. But to some extent, right. But the slide that I didn't bring here, which is the previous slide that Ravinder did, was a slide where it actually took the printing industry in relation to a lot of other industries. And that is where it really, if you look at in Sweden, how many people have actually the net result of employees, for example. If you look at the net results of number of businesses, if you look at the net results of a lot of different parameters, the printing industry is on all measurements considerably worse than anybody else's industry. So I think that from that perspective, it will probably just give a wrong picture, because the reason why I think they belong here, and that's the answer to you, is basically because they are like bookshops. They are consumers of print. They may be the one that actually sell it on to the next one, but they are consuming. I think that for some printers, for example, in Denmark, you know here in Sweden as well, that Lasertryk is going out with a white label solution, right? How many here has a white label solution? One. They say they have 200. See, the issue is that the reason why they go to you is because they have figured out that if they give you a lower price, then you will bring all your customers into their business as well. So that is just a way of extending your market potential. So the brokers are extending some printers' market potential, because then they don't have to invest a lot of money in sales stuff. I can't tell. I think that the problem with a print broker in relation to one certain printer is that a lot of print brokers, of course, there's a lot of dependency on, let's say, on prices. So if they get another printer, a big chunk volume can move in one go from one printer to another printer, because they are extremely focused on prices. Right?
And also remember that in this group of companies, many of them offer and sells their own services like logistics. So it's not only buying, selling print. They also add very different kind of values that you also do.
The company I have in Denmark, we are a print broker, but we sell only to other printers. So what we do is we kind of try to combine orders from industry on products that we can't produce ourselves. So we have 113 printers, mainly in Denmark, a few in Sweden, a few in Norway, where we sell. And what we have changed focus on, we have a closed web shop where we sell extremely inexpensive commodity products, which turns out pretty okay, but it's not very funny, very interesting. But we have changed focus on getting these kind of products at business class, because I mean, you're from the UK. There's a lot of letterpress printing companies in the UK. They have turned old letterpress machines into money-making machines like hell, because to make those business cards you saw, it takes a couple of hours to do that. But I mean, we have also in some of the articles I wrote on LinkedIn, there's a letterpress mom and dad shop in Kaunas in Lithuania. They have called Elegante Press. They have 2 letterpress machines, and they have a developer for making these rubber things for the and they have become a global brand. They sell wedding invitations, 250 pieces for $1,000 to couples in New York. I don't know how often you sell something in that price level. I do that with business cards, but I don't do that on, let's say, commodity kind of stuff. Right? So sometimes it's a question about finding your niche, because that is the advantage of internet and new technology, is that you can actually, I'm not talking against retroprint, I'm not talking against internet presence. I'm just saying that sometimes find your niche, because your audience with the internet is tremendously big. If you have the right product, you can sell it worldwide. I mean, I don't know if you know it, but when we sell business cards in boxes of 500 pieces, for example, I can buy them in the US with a 2 days delivery for the same price as the 2 days delivery in Germany. The world is just changing. Right? So if you can find the right producers doing the right thing, or if you are able yourself to do something that people really need, define your niche, find the people that make marketing. Madeleine just before spoke about newsletters and e-marketing and this kind of thing. Tremendously inexpensive to do that. Tremendously inexpensive. With English, I mean, just to give you an example, English, we have 80,000 euros now in a 2.5 years, almost 3 years period doing this now. This is the entire English, this is the entire, and he's only when we have the live list. So Jan and I, we travel around the world. I mean, we've just been in a printer in Tampa in the summer. It's a science company. We went there to just visit them. It cost like 3,500 Danish kroner to go there for return ticket. Just imagine you have an extremely low production cost when you do media today compared to things. And of course, there's, like she also said, if you don't do something that has relevance to you. People just skip it because there's too much noise. Right? We went to, after GrafKom in Orlando, we went to the oldest family-owned printing company in Orlando, which was a great experience. The reason why they were great is it's a print company like yours. It's a 35, 40 person company. They had an increase in revenue from 2015 to 2016 on 42%. How many here has a two-digit growth from 2015? Oh, wow, that was a lot, right? So I'm just saying what they did. They took the medicine that we're talking about here. They just said, let's find the niche. Let's focus on that niche. Let's go and take that market. It doesn't mean that they don't sell letterheads and 8-page brochures and that, but they focus all the energy. They invested in a woman to be employed with them, and the only thing that she was doing, she was attending the different meetings with the city, with business, with the sports club, working, and every time she said, yeah, I'm a print ambassador. Oh, what does that mean? Yeah, we sell print. Can we buy from you? No, then you have to go and talk to himself. That was one of the things they took as a medicine for actually increasing their revenue. I don't say that you can copy it. I'm just saying that it's a matter of finding ideas and figuring out how you can make a difference. If you can't make a difference to the customers can equally choose anybody, right?
So that's why we have to talk to each other, exchange ideas about customers, what we can do, what the opportunities are, and find out from other speakers, and talk to Morten, and talk to us, and talk to others. But you know, it's 5:45, and well, yes, of course, in due time. But I will switch now to Swedish. Har det varit bra hittills? Det här måste vi fortsätta med. Ja, och det ska vi göra, och det kan vi göra under olika former. Men den här formen som vi har haft nu, den avslutas här med. Jag ska bara säga att imorgon bitti. Våran husdans. Och